Welcome to Fitness and Thinking, a podcast and newsletter obsessed with 6 pillars of fitness. In episode 60 at 9:05 in late July, we're thinking on systems, control, inevitability, maybe a black swan, maybe a World Cup final, and via negativa and dropping my phone. And I think that it all links, but I'll be honest with you, it's taken me an hour of trying to bring it all together to get to this point. So if you're game to walk and talk and mull things over as if we were figuring it out together, then you should stick around. And if you do stick around, please do like, comment, subscribe. Every little bit of engagement could be massive for us growing and having more conversations like this. Not least inspired by Johnny Wilson in episode 52, who describes sitting as the new smoking. I want to not just practice what I preach, but also actually do it in a way that I would consume it, if that makes sense. There's also this acceptance, I think, that the more I've gotten into coaching and coaching in person, the more that I have to move. It's this self-sustaining thing. It's this virtuous cycle. And particularly as I'm getting into marathon training, I need to spend more time on my feet anyway. So this compulsion to spend more time on my feet, coupled with needing to for the training, it's something that feeds itself. It's an Ouroboros. And once you find yourself in this kind of virtuous cycle, this uplift, then it becomes harder and harder to not achieve the thing that you want. This is part of a systems-based approach to success. And the system isn't infallible. The system is just there to give you a set of behaviors and actions to deal with the unpredictability of life. If I told you that I actually tried to record this episode on Tuesday evening, but couldn't because of drag races along this road, or because 3 lads jumped a grass bank on a scooter behind me while I had all my recording equipment out. You know, it's that I didn't know that was going to happen, and it meant that walking around with my hand extended like this probably wasn't going to be the best thing to do. So the episode didn't happen. It still looked amazing. I'm still glad that I did it, and it gave me an opportunity to refine the idea. The system meant that I had everything set up, but the system wasn't robust enough to deal with the reality. Now, walking on Friday morning, the only limitation really is my ability to string words together into an idea or 2 or 3 that you enjoy. I feel like with every attempt, I'm getting better at it. Systems-based approach, sets and reps, breaking it down. What's the goal? To record the podcast. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to make time to do it. I'm going to have an idea. I'm going to have the equipment together. I'm going to use a different windshield to the one that I used with Zlati to hopefully help with noise there. I think we did well with it, but it was so noisy where we were recording, and yeah, my kit at the time wasn't good enough. So I've learned from that. I've iterated. The system is there to provide parameters to work within and guardrails so that the minimum output is still quality, hopefully. And do tell me if it isn't. Right, we are actually getting to the point where I demonstrated a big idea, the slip, and I'm going to hand over to Jack from about an hour ago to talk you through it. Is it worth setting up? Yeah, let's set it up. Bearing in mind that I'm not a boxer, but it's good fun and I'm learning all the time. So if you've got tips for me so I can teach it better as well in my Boxfit class, then do let me know. Stay there. Now, obviously I dropped my phone as I got excited about communicating in physical form the idea that's been living in my head rent-free for the past week. The slip, as it's been shown to me more recently, is an idea that I think has legs across different modalities and disciplines. Your opponent is attacking you. We're expecting to be attacked in boxing, but the aim is to hit and not be hit as often as possible. So some of the older folk in my class and the younger folk, in fairness, copying the older folk, slipping punches like this. Now, Boxfit is a way to get people on their feet and into community. I don't necessarily mind how people do things as long as they're doing things. My brother Henry is an incredible boxer, boxing coach. He has professionals and amateurs in his roster. If you're in the northeast of England and you want to become a better fighter, check Henry out. For me though, working in the gym, excited about community and people moving, I'm here to learn. What are we going to do differently? Well, rather than just taking the head offline and then hoping that we're not getting hit, Why not actually get the body out of the way and be more involved? I've got my left foot forwards, I've got my guard up, I've got my elbows close in. Hopefully a punch isn't going to come through my gloves, through my guard and hit me in the face, but we can't guarantee that. So I'm going to crunch opposite elbow and knee. You can go front knee, you can go back knee. As soon as I felt that, I was like, right, okay, this makes sense. And it made sense physically in a way that I couldn't understand until I did it. By compressing, I recognized from my plyo work and how I encourage people to box jump that this was going to set something up. In fact, as a non-fighter, the urge that I had from that crunch position was to throw a punch. So this defensive action has now become like an inevitable offensive action. Certainly in Boxfit, I'm not saying in a fight you're going to be able to throw a counter punch every single time, but from that low down crunch and potentially your opponent's arm sailing above your head, I recognize that there's a lot of surface area to hit. Whether you're going to go in for something like a body hook, or maybe you go for a little uppercut, you're in your opponent's guard. You've caught them off guard. So you potentially could inflict a lot of damage from having initially set up something defensive. And I like this. I like this idea of it not being you always on the front foot. It's that you allow reality to happen and then move. You can't control what happens outside of your body necessarily. You might be able to influence it, but you can't control it. You can control how you respond to it. Now, I think this carries over to sports. I think this carries over to different disciplines. I'm going to pick the camera up and we'll get walking again. Now, just in case he didn't cover the point that I've got in my head, this idea of a defensive movement leading to an opportunity. It's not that you've just thrown a punch. That would be expected in a fight. It's that you've developed a way to deal with what your opponent does. Now, you can't necessarily predict every single one of your opponent's actions, but if you prepared for them to move in certain ways and to throw certain shots, then it means that you're less likely to be caught off guard. Now, we can't predict everything. We can't know everything. I don't think that's the aim. Nassim Nicholas Taleb in Black Swan talks about how it's really easy to retrofit a narrative to say, oh yeah, we always knew that planes were going to go into the Twin Towers, as one very visceral example. He, a month prior, suggested that the possibility of a plane crashing into an office building was likely, that it's something that could happen, but he didn't say that 9/11 was going to happen. It's just that his idea was so prescient, so uncanny, that following that, he describes hundreds of journalists and news outlets getting in touch with him, wondering how he predicted it. And he said, well, no, it's just that we live in a world where things can happen. And while we can't control those things, particularly, natural events, there are some things, if it's based on humans, that we can, in this case, sadly predict. Okay, cool. So then what is the outcome that you want? What system do you need to come up with to nullify or ameliorate or exacerbate or ensure that it happens? In the World Cup final, as a recent example, Spain quashed Messi. Spain quashed Argentina's attacking threat. Argentina weren't there. I don't think they had a shot in the first half. Argentina had relied on chaos and got into the final. They deserved respect, but they didn't play football in a way that was going to get them a victory. They relied on being dirty, trying to commit fouls, trying to disrupt teams' styles of playing, and I think in a way intimidate them from playing their best football. And for the most part, it worked. But against a team that was slick and system-based like Spain, it didn't. Spain had a plan for it and just outplayed them. I'm not saying that it's not fun to see chaos or even to experience it from time to time, but if you actually want meaningful results that stick, nearly always systems are going to win. It carries over to fat loss, it carries over to business, loading the spring and potentiating the result you want, absolutely. But what if you get the direction slightly wrong on that release spring? What if actually there's an object suddenly in the way? It doesn't matter your intention at that point. If actually you've been thwarted, what are you going to do again? How do you reload? How do you recompress? Can you go again? Have you got the resilience to go again? Another term that's associated with Taleb is being anti-fragile. Are you robust enough to deal with outcomes that aren't exactly the one you want and then to go again to get the one that you want? Or do you accept what is and then build again? You might score screamers in training, but when a stadium's full and it's raining in Stoke, will you be able to do it? Has your system allowed you to perform in testing, stressing circumstances? All right, I just want to have a little pause as we recap. Systems, slips, surprises, World Cup final, and broken phones via negativa. Addition through subtraction, improving one's outcomes, improving potentially one's quality of life by removing the unnecessary things. I really like this as an idea, and the image that I have when I think of going further by removing things is of a space shuttle. So you have your stages of rockets and you have your booster rockets that will fall apart, that will come away from the main shuttle once different stages of flight have been achieved. And actually, once you've expelled all the fuel from the rockets needed to break through the atmosphere and away from gravity, you get rid of them. You don't need them anymore. I think this is the same in life, isn't it? You'll have friends, you'll have teachers, you'll have systems that work up until a point, and then when they don't, you get rid of them. And you get rid of them because it's okay, because you've learned from them. You'll get rid of them because sometimes actually what you did to get started isn't what you need when you're moving, and that's okay. I dropped my phone in the gym on Monday, or at least that's what my phone screen would have suggested. Put it on the ground, face down as I always do, and when I picked it back up, I went to scroll and my thumb got caught. I was like, that's strange. Looked under my thumb and there was what looked like a puncture wound in the screen. I'm looking around the gym for spikes at this point. How have I got a puncture wound in the screen? And I lift the screen protector up. It's very dark in my gym. The reflection from my screen made it look like the spike had gone all the way through. And given that I need my phone for everything, I didn't want to lift the protector all the way up in case the actual phone screen collapsed or crumbled, meaning that I couldn't use my phone at all. So I pushed it back down, still able to use my phone, but I've got phone insurance and I booked in an appointment through Apple, £25, fine. I get to the shop, and when I get to the shop, they say, right, you need to pack your phone up. Okay, I didn't know I needed to do that. I don't have any means of doing that. I frantically start sending myself things from my phone to my laptop, and also recognise that there's so much on my phone that I don't actually use that maybe it's not an issue. I sent myself about 100 photos, videos of the 9,000 that I've got on here, and I had such a mixed moment of, I love these things that I've sent and I know that I'm going to miss things that I get rid of, but I need to move on. Like, I need to give my phone in because the shop's going to close. And then they told me that it would be an overnight thing, that it would take 4 hours. So I'm not going to have my phone at all. The only way that I can get this done is to hand it in right now. So I send myself these files and I've got that mixed feeling of, oh, that's sad, but I don't need it ultimately. I was there when I took the photo, I was there with the video, and if it was worthwhile, I'll remember it, surely. And then there's a security delay on the phone. So some Apple phones have this feature where people might try and get around your system. So there's an hour delay, as if to say you've kept it in your possession, you've chosen to turn these security features off, which meant that half an hour after spending time trying to figure out what I'm going to do and texting people to say that I'm not going to have a phone, I was then waiting an hour with this security delay. And in that time, I lift up the screen protector and under the brighter lights see that my screen hasn't been touched at all. In fact, the screen looks great. I peel the protector all the way off and I chat to Nassim, and he says, look mate, all I can see with your phone is that it's dirty. was like, oh, okay. She's like, do you want me to get you a cloth? I was like, sure. So I spend a minute cleaning my phone with this cloth that's been given to me kindly. And I say, well, look, does it look all right to you? He says, yeah, in my professional opinion, I think you can use this phone. Should we cancel that appointment then? He said, has anyone booked you in? I said, I don't know, 3 people came up to me. Nobody booked me in, no damage to the phone, and a realization that, you know, after all of that time fretting over losing things, I hadn't lost anything for one, but for two, that there was all of this data collection, there was all of this moment collection that I'd done that I wasn't actually using. And so I think part of what I want to do going forwards is to not just amass things, you know, not just take photos for the sake of it, definitely not just listen to things or watch things for the sake of it. I got halfway through a Gary Stevenson documentary last night and I was bored. You know, I found myself reaching for my phone, which is maybe a symptom of our cooked attention spans, but also that I might like the person, but the medium in this instance, it wasn't doing anything for me. I don't need to consume it, so I let it go. I've decided, as a commitment to Viva Negativa, to text people photos and videos and to relive or reshare the moment with them and then delete it from my phone. So maybe by the end of the year, I've only got 1,000 photos or videos, down from 9,998 as it was up until Wednesday. In so doing, should my phone break, should I need to give it in again, I don't need to worry about backing it up. I don't need to worry about not having it, because actually everything that I used it for as a tool has been achieved, and everything else outside of that, it doesn't really matter, does it? We're so dependent on things. I think I can do better to commit to my moments with fewer things. Even going on runs more recently, yeah, it's just what I'm wearing. It's my shoes, socks, shorts, vest. There's no heart rate monitor. I might listen to an audiobook, but I've been going out on runs without headphones. Ideally, I'll go out without my phone. But, you know, even then, am I kind of overthinking it with step tracking and distance tracking? I think that could be helpful. I could buy a watch, but then it's still kit, isn't it? I'm still trying to come up with the perfect solution, but I'm not running with a vest or with a belt. If possible, you know, like leave a key under a plant pot, just go out as you into the world and see what happens. It's weird. It is so weird having so little kit on you. I wonder if that's a practice you might take on as well. And if you do, if you let me know. So Viva Negativa. Living the reduced life, but being intentional with it. It's not about deleting for the sake of deleting and forgetting. It's not about letting go of things because they're not valuable or they're bad or anything like that. It's because we've learned lessons and we can't take everything with us. I don't even know what we can take if we do take anything with us. That would be interesting. I think to live is an awfully great adventure of itself. Okay, getting close to work and the feeling of the second energy drink kicking in. Summer's still here. I'm going to see the Odyssey tonight, and apparently, unless you see it in IMAX, it's not necessarily an experience you'd expect. Thankfully, there's an IMAX near me, so I'll hopefully get to see it in most of its glory, although people like Seth, episode 16, I think, seeing it on the original film, obviously will have had the best experience possible. Anyway, for our own cinematic journey, our own oral journey through space and time, what have you enjoyed from Fitness and Thinking in this first 60 episodes? In next week's episode, we'll do a roundup of 52 to this one, the lessons learned, the people spoken with. All right, it's taken 3 hours to record what I imagine will be 20 to 25 minutes of finished episode, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed hopefully getting some steps in with me and reflecting on some of these ideas that I wouldn't come up with necessarily by myself, but absolutely I'm indebted to and inspired by others for introducing me to and helping me build it out. And yeah, I just want more and more of it. It's so good. I want to know what you would ask guests, which guests you'd have on, which ideas are scratching your brain at the moment, and some which you think could do with building out. If you want to chat with me, send a message, Instagram, Gmail, Fitness and Thinking. If you want to be on the show, let us know. And yeah, big shout to people pushing the show in their own ways. Big shout to Beth for helping me book guests. Big shout to Megan for teaching me the slip, and then also putting out some stickers and coming up with some mad ideas for hoodies. I don't know if we'll realise those. It feels like we are really building something, and the buzz around the gym, the buzz in some of the emails that I've had from potential guests. It's like, yeah, we're doing something here, and I want you to be around for as much of it as you want to be around for. Like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot. It's almost in sight. 300 mgs of caffeine, revving me up. I'm good to go. Much love. I'll see you in the next one.